Hello and welcome, I'm Peasant, and for this Spirit Island Zero, we're taking a look at Spread of Rampant Green. So first, an overview of the spirit, things to watch out for, things that are good, things that are bad, etc., and then a playthrough to hopefully demonstrate the spirit in action, but without the complications of adversaries. So, Spread of Rampant Green. This is my actual official favourite spirit, so I know I say that about a lot of them, but this is the official one. This is the one that's on the documentation. So green, what's the deal with green? Okay, they've got one very, very powerful ability that if you need to be looking down here for this. So when invaders would ravage or build in a land with your sacred site, you may prevent it by destroying one of your presence in that land. This is incredibly powerful because it preventing a ravage, preventing a build. This is how you win the game essentially. Um, and this is very powerful. And most of your play as the spirit is going to be this is going to make things a lot easier for you because if the land's a problem, you just stick some presents in there and Bob's your uncle. But what wrinkles are there on that? So you always play adding a presence in jungle or wetland. So that's something to bear in mind. You are much more powerful in jungles and wetlands because you can just you're getting presence in there all the time. So it is easier for you. So when you're making a decision about where to clear, say you had that power and you could clear a tile, or a teammate could clear a tile, you always try and get them to clear the lands that are hardest for you. So that would be your deserts and your mountains, jungle and wetlands. That's your home turf. So that's one thing that wrinkle on that. And so something else with this is you have this steady regeneration ability. So when adding presence to the board via growth, you may optionally use your destroyed presence. So that's something to bear in mind is that you have these powers here in your start hand that add presence. This doesn't apply to this. So those that are playing with a physical game, that is a rules thing, is that you can't use this ability, steady regeneration, when you are using your Overgrown and Knight, or if you're targeting yourself with Gift of Proliferation in solo. So that's something to bear in mind. Little rule thing. And one thing with this is that you can place your destroyed stuff, but you always want to clear your tracks first. This is something you only are going to want to do once you've cleared your tracks. And there might be an exception to that because it's that kind of game, but as a general rule, you want to clear these first because obviously this is how you power up. This is how you become more dangerous, more powerful. Okay, so we're doing this every turn with our growth options, and then you have a fairly little selection here. And as usual, you want to avoid the reclaim because, like most spirits, the reclaim cards option doesn't have a presence placement option. I mean, you are always placing presence, so maybe it doesn't matter so much for this spirit, but it's still the case that if you can avoid this, it's generally better because you've got this much better way of gaining a power card, gaining energy. And you have this middle one here, which is a bit funky. It adds an additional presence and a card play. This extra card play is useful in the early game. You generally do want to be placing as much presence as quickly as you can. That's just all, but that's just how it is. With all the spirits, really. I don't think there are any spirits where you don't want to be placing your presence as quickly as possible. So if you can squeeze this presence placement in, then it's definitely something you want to do. The other thing to bear in mind is that this is a presence that can go anywhere. So when you are placing this presence, you probably don't want to place it in a jungle or wetland unless that presence is then going to enable you to do something particularly great. So that's something to bear in mind with this +1 presence placement here. And then we could look at our tracks. And this is very much, I think with this spirit you want this first energy, and then you want to go down the bottom track and get those plays together. The top track is okay, but generally you want to go with this. I think this is this is a spirit where this is almost always the best way to play on the bottom track. But if you have a different experience, I'd like to feel free to share in the comments. Of course, wire play is great because they mean that they enable your innates. And in this case, you've got 2 innates and you've got Creepers, Terror to Mortar, which is this is where the situation where you're most likely to make mistakes with targeting, especially if you're playing digital and you've gone past the point where you can undo. Is that this is a 0 range ability, right? So you need to be in with the buildings to damage them. It only targets buildings. So this is tricky, and especially when you put it in tandem with Stem the Flow of Fresh Water, which needs to be in or adjacent to a sacred site, and you factor in the fact you might have destroyed a presence, removing a sacred site in order to use this. This is where it can get a bit tricky with this spirit. So yeah, that's a heads up. And in the playthrough, I might just mess it up, not deliberately. It's just quite easily done. And one way you can get around that is by actually placing triple presence in some places. But obviously, if it's a desert or a mountain, that might not necessarily be very easy. But that might be a way you go, because you also need sacred sites for this useful defendability. Yeah, so this is the tricky thing is balancing when to destroy your presence and when to keep it for the sake of your targeting. So yeah, tricky. And then also, when do you want to prevent a ravage rather than a build? And that's very much on a case-by-case basis. Like, and against the adversaries, that's a bit different too. Like Sweden is particularly dangerous on their ravage because they do lots of damage, place extra blight. So with them, you probably do want to be preventing the ravage more often. But yeah, it's going to depend on the adversary and your board state with that. All right, and then we have these plays here. These cards even. So you have the Gift of Proliferation. So note for the solo crew who plays solo spirit is that it says another, and in solo it's a blanket rule for all spirits. So if it does say target another, you can target yourself in solo. But otherwise, with multi spirit, then that is very much another spirit. And this card here is the reason why green is a great teammate for any other spirit in the game, with no exceptions. I don't think there are any exceptions to that. Even if you include all the Jagged Earth spirits, etc. Green is a great teammate because acceleration is amazing. Lots of spirits, they suddenly just, if you can be accelerating the hell out of them, that's a worthwhile thing. And actually, you might want to be early reclaiming just to accelerate your teammates potentially with multiple gifted proliferations. But in solo, you're going to be accelerating yourself, which is also great. So super powerful, and it has the moons that we like from the point of view of tearing into mortar. Overground Knight is obviously it's targeting ourselves, and the thing to remember from a rules point of view, if you're playing with a physical game, is that you can't use this steady regeneration ability there. It has to just come from the tracks in a kind of old-fashioned kind of way. It does actually have this secondary ability here for 3 fear, which actually isn't too bad, though this is typically something that I will forget once all this presence is out, but this actually isn't too bad, but it's very expensive. You can typically get a minor power that will offer 3 fear for 0 cost, so like Rain and Blood. I love that Rain and Blood. But yeah, so this is very much something you're going to forget at some point. You've got fields choked with growth, and you notice here that you've got this slightly typical, these ones have water and these ones don't. So if you're looking to use the defendability, then you might want to make sure you've got some water around, but actually you don't generally use this much in the early game. Well, I certainly don't. And this is a useful ability to push people around, push towns around. And because this is cheap, you can just throw it in there, and then you can push a town that's just been built. And with some of the adversaries, they will be throwing out towns in places you're not expecting. So in Zero, probably not super valuable, but pushing 3 Dahan is it's okay. It's yeah, not a power card by any means. Stem the Flow is a funky little card, and again one that's the targeting's tricky, and that's your early game headache is how to maximize the value of this, because typically on turn 1 you want to be playing Stem and combining it with Creeper's Tear into Mortar. So that basically means you want to play Stem with Gift, so that you have Moon and 2 plant, and then you can use this to do a damage to a building, and then you can use this to do a damage to a building. But you have to have presence in there, and you need to be adjacent to a sacred site. So targeting that can be tricky. But with this spirit, you don't start with much, with any real offensive capability. So you really want to make sure you get to a good start with that, with these two, with the Stem and with Gift to accelerate yourself. So I think that's enough overview of that. Let's put it into practice. So this is our explore. We have a wetland explore. Okay, so let's just check the maps in a place we like. So I did talk already about going with Stem and Gift of Proliferation first to try and destroy a town somewhere. Now we can destroy a town that hasn't been built yet. This is the joy, the joy of the slow power. You could be like, hey, but a town hasn't been built here. Well, we're going to do it in the slow phase, so we can wait till it's built and then destroy it. And we've got two lands that are going to build, and this one has a blight in. So we have a preference for clearing this land out over this one. So Also, these are in wetlands, so we can use our ability to prevent builds and ravages in there potentially, but it might be a bit overkill for now. So almost certainly we're going to want to go turn 1 hit with this. And in order to play Gift of Proliferation, which is just an incredible card, we're going to need an energy. And so we're going to go with this. And this is the only presence I'm going to take from this track. So we're going to place a presence from there and a presence from here. And remember I was saying about trying to place in lands that are awkward for us, i.e. not wetland or jungle. I'm now going to use this presence placement here that doesn't have any restrictions on it to place in one of those awkward lands. And I think I'm going to go with this one. And I'm going with this general idea of trying to clear the interior. So because if you destroy the buildings, then there's nowhere for them to explore from, you see. This is the idea. So now we've got our jungle wetland placement. So we're going to get the one energy we need for Gift of Proliferation. We are going to be energy poor for a while. And we're just going to ignore this top track now and just try and get down here. So we are going to get an extra play this turn granted from this, but we're unlikely to go with this again for a while, I suspect. Again, a lot of this is me being vague based on experience. Right, so I'm going to make my sacred site here. So the sacred site is so that I can target stem the flow. And then I'm going to go with Gift of Proliferation to actually place the presence I need in here to target Creepers, Terrans, and Mortar. So it is a little bit tricksy, but this first turn is probably the worst, the most tricksy turn from that point of view. So we'll Gift of Proliferation, and because it's solo, we can target ourselves. And we'll go for this. There might be circumstances where you might want to go top track, maybe if you desperately need that extra plant. For example, if you want to get Defend 2. But in this case, we just want to get the extra plays. So I'm going to play in here. And that's so that I can target my creepers in a second. Okay, so we've got Jungle Explorer. This is working out quite well. They're targeting the lands that we're strong in here. So now we can use Stem the Flow in here and Creeper Stair to destroy this town. Which means that we don't have to worry about a cascade from here. So we do this, and that town is gone. Look at that. So we still have this problem here. Now we can use Green's ability to prevent the Ravage here, which is worthwhile because if the Ravage happens, we're going to lose a presence here anyway. So we're not really losing anything there. And then we've got builds here and here. We could prevent this build. Nah, that might be worthwhile. We really can be pretty relaxed about our presence with this spirit, especially with a healthy island. So let me think. So we're getting towards having the extra plays that we want, but this third is very much going to be this and this. And what we can do is we can push a town, again, leveraging the slow power awesomeness. So we know there's going to be a town in here and a town in here. We can just push them somewhere else, which is, wonderful. That's the dream right there, pushing them towns. And we could even push it into this wetlands after the Ravage. And Overgrow, of course, is more acceleration for us. And that's going to cost us 2. So we're pretty much, this is what we want here. We want the energy to play Overgrow, and that we're just going to keep on going down this track. Okay, and again, you always want to look at the card gain before you place your presence in case there's targeting concerns. What have we got here? Let's just move it like this a little bit. Well. So we have arguably some of the cards I think are the strongest miners in base. So icons, we like Moon Green. We like those icons. We also like Blue Green. Nature's Resilience is just a very, very strong card. Fast Phase Blight Removal, as I've already said a few times over the course of these videos, is amazing because if there's a Ravage about to come in on a land that you can't really defend, even with a Defend 6, so you can just yoink that Blight out from underneath and prevent the cascade. So this is the thing that I'm most tempted for, but it's not really very offensive. And we probably do want to think about being a bit offensive. So we like the icons on here. We like we even like the mountain because this is a great, another great a great power. But the truth is that we're very quickly going to be going down this track. Our track's going to be empty before you know it. So we're going to be at 4 plays. It is good to have some water kicking around. Rain of Blood is kind of tempting. I think you could make a case for any of these, really. And this is interesting because this is 1 damage to each building or defend 10. Now, that actually, you can use that in tandem with Stem the Flow of Fresh Water here. So that would do a damage to every building in a mountain or a sand. So you could use that to kind of just clear out a land. I mean, I think we're going to go with Resilience here, but I think you could make a case for either Blood or this. And Steam Vents is actually quite good. Let me just look at this. I mean, if we place our presence, say, in here, we could prevent this whole build chain with Steam Vents, and it has water and mountain. Because as I said, we're going to get these plants on these tracks pretty quickly. So you could make a good case for Steam Vents as well. Because prevention is better than cure, but we're a bit low on energy. Yeah, I mean, there is a clear case to be made for all of these fine cards. Let's try not to just sink too deep into the tank here. Yeah, let's be opportunistic. We're not going to get up to 3 plays this turn, actually. So we're going to want to overgrow for the sake of our growth. So fields choked, we could use to, say, push this town somewhere. Maybe into here. Maybe we could, or we could Rain of Blood. Actually, the town, we are going to go with fields choked here. So we don't need these imminently. Yeah. We're a little bit low on the old energy. I'm going to go with Nature's Resilience. But yeah, I think you could have made a case for any of those. All right. Just disappearing into the old think tank. So we're going to want to fields choked in there, push that town probably into here, or maybe into here. We're going to be overgrowing in a night. Where do we need our presence? So we're doing this presence placement here. So this is jungle or wetlands. Oh yeah, we're going to go in here, prevent this ravage, just because we may as well. We've already got presence in there. We're not really losing anything by doing that. And then we've got overgrow in a night. So this one we can use to target in a non-wetland or jungle. So that's generally what we're probably going to want to do. And we have this ravage doesn't matter because it's just a single explorer. This ravage we can prevent with our amazing ability, our whatever it's called, choke the land with green, and then build. We could prevent this build. The trouble there, that's probably worth doing. Yeah, that probably is worth doing. I mean, might be worth doing. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to want to overgrow into a sand or a mountain, and let's overgrow. We've already got sacred sites over here, so we'll overgrow in this direction. And again, we're going to go from the plays track. And we have that ravage there, which wasn't a problem, and then we're going to prevent this ravage by destroying a presence. Okay, and we can prevent this build here. Now, this is where it can be tricky, because if I had a slow phase card that needed a sacred site for targeting, I might be sad about that. I think I will prevent this build, because when there's only a single explorer there, it's kind of, although it basically means that the ravage doesn't matter. So I think that's reasonable. It's reasonable. But yeah, you notice we don't have a single sacred site on the map now, which can put you in a tricky situation. So next turn we've got a ravage in here, and we've got the sand build here. So the nice thing is we can just make a land horrible for ourselves. We could just fill it with enemies, and actually it doesn't really matter because we can just prevent the ravage. if we want to. So as we're probably going to maybe just prevent the ravage here, we could just push this town into here. This land, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll push this town into here. And then we've got this creeper step. It's not going to do anything as far as I can tell, so we'll just do it somewhere. Okay, so we're back to the growth phase. We have ravage here that doesn't matter, a ravage here that doesn't matter. And then we have a build here and a build here. So this is getting a bit scary now. It's like you get to that point where you might want to prevent ravages rather than builds, because this is still going to be a problem if we prevent the build. It's still going to be a bit gross. And we have a build here. We only have this one card that it doesn't actually do anything for us this turn. So this might be a situation where we reclaim just so we can do our accelerating. It's a bit of a quiet turn, really. Next turn is when all the action's happening. And next turn, if we can use our innate, so our defend 2, that will be enough to protect this land here. So we just want to make sure that we have the water and obviously enough plays, which we will do. So we'll probably go with something like gift, overgrow, and then next turn we go with stem, fields, natured maybe. Nature's resilience. So yeah, this is going to be a reclaim. And we just want to make sure, yeah, we've got the water for next turn. And we don't have much energy, so this is going to be a minor. Or we could think about gaining a major. And maybe think about forgetting this, but I think we'll wait a second. We haven't been forced into needing a major, so we'll put it off for a little while. Let's move this map out of the way. Okay, so what have we got here? So these are certainly cards. This is the only one with plant on, which might make us think that that's useful for us. It also has the mountain on, which is nice for all enveloping green. And 2 damage is useful because we've got this creepers turn to more that's just doing an odd damage here or there. With that in tow and this, we're actually destroying a city. So this is probably what I'm going to go with. The note that it has a limitation on its placement because of the blight. You can't target it in with the blight, but that's okay. The island's looking in pretty good shape. So I think that's probably what to go with. I don't generally think I want to go with something like drought here, though we do have fields. I don't think we need drought here, and I think this is just better. This just serves our purposes. Actually, just have a call to migrate. Obviously, moving Dahan around has its uses. It's not on brand, so the icons aren't useful for us. I mean, there could be a place for this. But the thing is, our main way of dealing with big ravages isn't to defend; it's just to prevent. So yeah, not a high priority pick for us. Okay, we're going to get that 4th play, and we are going to. Where are we going to put this presence? So this is a jungle wetland kind of presence. And oh yes, we might need sacred sites. So yeah, we basically need to place this somewhere to give us a sacred site, probably. And something else to think about is, are there any towns we want to destroy? I guess we could destroy this town in here. Thinking about using stem flow. Obviously, remember, we need to hang on to water to destroy, to use our defend power next turn. So we definitely want to hang on to one of these. That's the main thing to avoid. I'm probably actually just going to try and play as many of these cards as possible just to grow quicker, just to accelerate down this track. So it'd be something like overgrow, gift, and then maybe we could go with stem creepers to finish this off here. Yeah, I think that's the right call. So we will try and destroy this town, I think. Okay, so, and I'm just prioritizing the acceleration here, so getting more presence off our tracks. And then we could go with either of these really. But we've already got a plan for defending in here. So you see here they've actually got to defend this turn. Next turn we're looking to probably play these three. Yeah, and yeah. We can play. So yeah, so here's one of those cases where I'm not going to play this because I definitely know that I want to play it next turn, and if I can avoid the reclaim, well, that's just better for me. The trouble with this is there are no moons. So what I might want to do next turn is go with gaining a power card and try and get a useful fourth play. So yeah, deliberately hanging on to that for the sake of defending in here. Could be, yeah, that's fine. So you do have to do a fair amount of planning with the Spirit, probably more than some. Obviously, a bit of planning is always a bonus for everyone. Okay, so we've got two opportunities to place our presence here. We definitely want to place a presence in here to prevent the Ravage next turn. So let's just put that in there. Let's just get that where we want it. And then we have another presence to place. So this land here, we're going to defend next turn, and the Tahan's going to tidy up for us. Well, it's not going to completely tidy up, but it's going to do some. And so again, we've got this thing of this is a good opportunity to place presence in mountains or sand. Maybe we could. We also want to think about our. We could even put a triple. We could even put another presence in here. And the nice thing about that is it means that we know we're removing this presence this turn. It will then mean we do have sacred sites adjacent to all this. Because this is a good spot, because it's adjacent to 1, 2, 3, 4 different tiles, or lands even. So I actually think I am going to go with adding an additional presence onto here. And the nice thing about that is it's just a little bit of a shortcut. That defend isn't necessary, but when you've played a bit of Branch and Claw or Jagged Earth, you make these little moves. Okay, so we now got a build. I'm going to let this build happen. I'm not too worried about this build because probably at some point I'm going to draw a major to just start smashing this land here. Then we have Coastal Explore. Well, do we now? So when you're playing with zero difficulty, the Coastal Explorer that's the scary one. That's the scary one indeed. Oh, well, here's something else. We could even just do a load of destruction in here because we could actually hit multiple buildings with Stem the Flow. So we could even destroy the city. And as you can see, we haven't earned a single fear card yet. We've been a bit lax. Let's actually think about this. Obviously, making this more palatable is beneficial, but we do have towns everywhere, so actually clearing out this town isn't actually that beneficial. And destroying cities is almost always a worthwhile enterprise. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Let me just try not to fall too deep into the tank. So we're going to be defending here next turn, preventing this Ravage, and there's going to be a build in here. Yeah, I think this is... the coast is our concern right now. And if we do destroy the city in here, then actually we can even be defending potentially with Nature's Resilience. Yeah, I prefer destroying the city here, just because cities are that bit more difficult to get rid of. Okay. All right. So now we are back to the power phase, and we have this Ravage we're preventing, this one we're defending, and so pretty straightforward choice here. I mean, because we've got these amazing growth cards, you could always, you could make a case for reclaiming and just playing your cards that grow you as a spirit. But we're getting towards the end of the track here. These are only very small benefits to us now that we've got this 2 energy. So not too fussed about really pushing down there. So let's go with this. And we could actually think about a major here, even though we almost certainly won't be able to play it this turn. But I'm not going to, because we've got an extra card play. If we get a nice 0 cost utility card, then that's good. And we've still only got 6 cards in total, so we probably, yeah, no real benefit to going with a major straight away. Okay, let's just move the map so we can see it. Okay, so we have, I mean, obviously we can use, so we have a preference here for going with a 0 cost card. Something else to bear in mind is that if we go with and the 0 cost is because we're only going to have 2 energy this turn. So that makes one of these more appealing. Savage Morbeast is a weird card. Very cheap way to do a tiny bit of damage. But it's very off-brand. No icons that we really want. The other 0 cost is actually pretty useful because we're doing a pretty good job of preventing builds, etc. And it has nice icons for us. So this is pretty tempting. And then we've got the ones that are actually going to cost us something. So the advantage of this is we could remove this blight here and actually have a very, very healthy island. But I don't think there's any need for that. So I think probably drift down here. Because the other nice thing is it has the mountain we like. We like the mountains. But water's good because it unleashes this ability here, which is kind of nice, but yeah, not the ideal icons for that from that point of view. I mean, this is good. This is just going to be, even if we just play it once, just to gain a little bit of fear and a damage. You know, it's every little helps. But this actually is probably just more useful. So we will go with that. And we have a presence to place. So a jungle or wetland one. So let's go with being up here. And maybe we can destroy the town that gets built this turn. Oh, we've got no moons. Well, there's something to reconsider. So let's have a quick just jump back into here. Because in order to trigger this ability, we need at least 1 moon. So this does mean that all of a sudden Uncanny Melting becomes much more appealing. However, we'd actually have to not play one of our other 1 cost cards here. But actually, I quite like going with maybe Uncanny Melting and with Resilience, because we can actually remove this blight here. But we are getting a bit convoluted, unnecessarily convoluted, some might say. But yeah, that moon is pretty valuable. Let's go with it. So we need the sacred site to target it, which we will have. And this is very much forget fodder after this turn. And the nice thing is that if we have the melting with the rouse, then we can actually destroy a city if one gets built. And one is going to get built in here. So we could go with something like removing this blight, rouse the trees in stones in here. And then we're going to get extra green from our track. So then we could field chokes with growth, except we actually don't need to. Yeah, all right, it's all getting very circular. We've got lots of ways of dealing with this problem. Let's place this guy in here. And we've got 4... Oh, we've actually got way more energy than I expected. So I'm just there worrying about every little piece of energy, and actually it's just fine. So we've only got the 1 moon. Nature's Resilience would remove a blight, but we've only got 1 blight to remove. Warm Enveloping Green is going to give us the defend 2 in here. Creeper's Tear to Mortar is going to mean we can destroy the city that gets built this turn. We can combo it with Rouse the Trees. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And again, there's no obligation to play everything, especially if it has no benefit whatsoever. So we'll defend 2 in here. We'll prevent this Ravage. And then to fight back, we'll destroy the town. Oh my god, a fear card? Good lord. And we'll allow this build. Do I allow this build? See, if I prevent the build, I can actually defend with Nature's Resilience. I mean... this is... I mean, that probably... But then we don't have a sacred site. Yeah, so I need to actually allow that build. Otherwise, I can't target my trees and stones. And it is so easy to trip up on that. I have done it so many times. Okay, so we've got our Uncanny Melting to remove the blight. That's a no-brainer. And then we have... Okay, we've got... So this explorer is annoying because we could have prevented this from being a problem by just pushing this town out of the way. So thanks, game. We could clear this space just by rouse the trees and stones. So we could forget about our idea here of destroying this city. And there's this space to think about as well. So probably we're going to go for a full reclaim next turn. So yeah, we want to make sure we deal with one of these spaces. Rouse the trees in here actually does just solve that problem because a single explorer isn't going to put blight down and then it's going to get wiped out like that. So that's pretty good. So that's kind of good. We just rouse the trees in here, destroy that, and then we could. Then Creeper's Tear's not really doing anything, but that's not a problem because we can just prevent this ravage. Though it is again ravage. Yeah, that's fine. And then we can, if we push this town into here, then even a defend 2 is going to be enough. They probably will have defend 4. I guess depending on what choices we make with our cards. We might not have a defend 4. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to destroy this town in here. So that, oh, we have to push this. We'll push them in here. Yeah, that's not an optional one. And then we've got this town. So I think we're just gonna make this horrible cluster in here. And we do have a way, and we do have the ability to destroy, to do damage to lots of towns with stem the flow. So it's not completely ridiculous, just slightly ridiculous. And we'll just take that city. Okay, so we have coastal ravages. Our little defend in here will take care of this, and this is just one that's easiest just to prevent. So we've still got presence on our track, so I think this is a good reclaim kind of turn. Though something to bear in mind is that we're going to be placing a presence in a jungle or wetland anyway, and then there's only be one presence left on our track. So actually there's no point in playing both Overgrow and Gift unless we really wanted the icons, or unless we wanted to use the sphere effect here, which is actually, it's reasonable. So we actually are going to have 3 plays beyond proliferation to use on doing things that we like. So the proliferation we can use to place a presence here to maintain our sacred site. We could think about a major here and even forget Overgrow. It could be pretty good. We're actually getting some energy together now. Be good. We need to kind of do something about this interior though. It's looking a bit too much going on in there. I mean, if we go with something like Gift and then maybe just destroy some towns in here. See that we get the coast is going, apart from here, this coast is going to be pretty clear this turn. So we've got that nice thing. So here's something where you've got the same land ravaging into build. If you can deal with the ravage and clear the tile, like with defense and Dahan, actually it's a really nice thing to do if you can. If you can make it work. If you can't make it work, it's kind of horrible. So I think maybe gaining a major here when forgetting Overgrow is our option. Here, I think we're probably not going to play the major this turn. Preventing this ravage, defending in there, maybe stemming in here. Yeah, so I think we look at a major this turn. So we might not take it. We might not take the major. And what have we got here? Trees and stones speak of war. Obviously, these are pretty nice icons for us. We've even got the yellows, and we can actually use this straight away. Can we use this straight away? Yeah, we can. It's going to immediately solve this problem. This is a really good card for us. Because it's cheap. It's lovely and cheap. Poison Land is a big scads of damage, though. But the blight, because we've got presence on half the map, we probably don't want to be destroying it willy-nilly. Because that's just wasteful. But the icons aren't intolerable either. But I think this is almost certainly the one to go for, just because we have so many of the icons already. I mean, we're always going to have the plant. It's on our tracks. Mountains are on a fair number of our cards, actually only 2, and so are the daylight. They're actually only on one of our particularly useful cards because uncanny melting is not going to do a lot for us unless we start deliberately letting places take blight, which might be worthwhile. I mean, you know, it's something we can do. I think I'm going to go with trees and stones here and start using it straight away. For example, yeah, maybe not. It's going to be useful to have a way of actually doing some damage and defense. Though maybe the big... I mean, this could be good. But destroy... Yeah, I think we're going to go with trees and stones. Again, it's got the nice... We like having a bit of mountain. But yeah, as you can see, the game is pretty much a bit too... You know, the game is kind of under control. So I probably should just get it done. Get it done, lad. So, thinking about where we want to place this presence, we like having sacred sites in useful places. This is a useful place for a sacred site. We are going to be... Yes, I think here is the place. Because it's got more adjacency than sticking it on the edge. And we're going to want to gift of proliferation in here. Let's actually have a quick look at our... So we could get another sand in this region. We really should be doing something about this. But what we can do is with trees and stones, we can actually start sticking Dahan in here and then just go with a big defend with trees and stones and with nature's resilience, working in tandem to just really have a big, to really deal with this land in the ravage. If we get yet another sand, we also have this stem option too. So we are preventing this ravage, and this ravage here we're going to defend with... Well, we have different ways of we could defend. I think actually we probably want to use trees and stones somewhere else right now. I don't think we do want to use it this turn because we kind of want to be pushing Dahan into here, but they will die. Defend 4 is not going to be enough to deal with all this. So I think actually my side project for this turn is, aside from defending here, which we should do just by playing stem. Yeah, there you go. There's our defend 2. Which, because I've been given this water icon, it's just to do some damage in here. So stem we can use to damage everything, and then we can rouse the trees a little bit. Do we have any other damage? Not really. I mean, that's still going to be enough to destroy... We can destroy 3 towns. No, we can't. I'm just lying. If we get the moon icon, then we could actually use Creeper's Tear for 1 damage. So maybe we could use stem to do a damage to everything in here, all the buildings in here, and then we could use rouse the trees to destroy the city. Then maybe this for the Creeper's Tear. Doesn't feel great. Oh, we've also got this we could use to push some Dahan in. So actually, I think that's worthwhile. I think that's better than... So it's weird. So by playing this, we'd actually be mainly just trying to using it to destroy a town. But actually, this is going to gain us more defense in tandem with trees and stones. So I'm going to go with this one. And we've actually got defend 4 there. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to proliferate into here. And that's our last presence of our track. We've got to defend in here. That's our fast phase. Each player chooses a different land. Dahan invaders take a damage there. Well. This doesn't matter, so let's just destroy this fella here. And we have the coastal ravage that we're going to prevent. I mean, we could have gone with a whole different tack of just letting this land get blighted and then cleaning it up. That would also have been pretty valid. But I mean, you could do that with any spirit, right? You know, this is a special. This is Oh yeah, we do have a moon off gift of proliferation. Never mind. Okay, so next turn we have a ravage here. It doesn't matter, and we have a ravage here that will probably be able to incidentally defend with our innate. So we're going to, or alternatively, we could just wreck this space. And I think this is what happened last time. I had plans to do something in here, and then I just dealt with this space instead. I mean, we could, if we do it in here, we could destroy 3 towns, which is pretty good. I think we'll just defend this incidentally, and we can always just burn a presence with our choke the land in here if we have to. But again, we're on the healthiest possible island, so yeah, let's try and speed through. So I'm actually going to destroy the towns here, I think, to maximize the value from damaging everything. Oh, we do have to push an explorer. Let's push an explorer into here, because defend 5 versus attack 5 versus defend 4 isn't not a big deal. And then we'll destroy this town. Okay, and then we can push some Dahan into here. So actually, yeah, this is 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, and if we push a load of Dahan in here, then this space is just kind of sorted. Though actually, that's something we could think about doing is actually pushing some of these into here, say, and then using trees and stones next turn to do some damage and then push. I guess I don't know if that's actually good. Is that good? It's reasonable. I mean, it's okay. Let's do that. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We will do this. Possibly a mistake. Okay, alright, so we are into this next phase. We have a Ravage here that we can easily defend with trees and stones. And if we trigger the threshold, then we can then move them over here for next turn. Oh, yeah, that's decent. Oh, except the trouble is that if we move out of there, I think they take their defend with them. Yeah, so we are still going to have to use this effect here, all enveloping green as well, but that's still fine, because there aren't any other Ravages to worry about. There's this build here, so if we can place a presence in there and do a bit of creeping, that would be nice. But yeah, we probably do want to be transitioning towards actually doing some damage, rather than whatever it is we think we're doing here. But we are, the island's in pretty good shape. But we're soon going to be into the Explore 3s, so yeah, we don't want to spend more time than we have to. And now we're at the point in the game where we don't really care about placing presence, so Reclaim is fine. But gaining the energy and the power code is almost certainly what we want to do. And Grift of Proliferation now is completely useless, so that's a forget fodder too. And we're going to have 6 energy. I think we look at another major here to try and close this out. So if it does feel like this is a very comfortable playthrough, that's because it is. Green is very, very powerful. So, all right. So Indomitable Claim is not. We're missing most of the value here because we've got no presence that we can place anymore. Dissolve the Bonds of Kinship is weird. I don't know if I've ever used it much. It has its place maybe with Bringer, because you can actually use it to remove buildings with Bringer. But it is an odd one. Yeah, probably one that I should at some point use, but it never really feels appropriate. So Pillar is actual damage, and we actually are going to have to do some damage. We're unlikely to get this threshold, which is not very fiery. Got a little bit of fire going on. But these ones that need 4 icons, I mean, that's going to be a hard ask. Wrap in Wings of Sunlight is actually a possible too. We could get our another Dahan power. I mean, it's... Yeah, we don't have any ideals here. I suppose we could just use this to... Because obviously if it's in a jungle or wetland, it adds a blight. I mean, we can remove blight from wetlands pretty easily. But I mean, we could use it just to destroy this. That feels very wasteful. And we have business of our own this turn. I mean, actually, all we need to do this turn is basically we've got 2 green on this track. And if we are... No, I think we're going in circles here. I think I'm going to go with Pillar of Living Flame and possibly not use it. So I'm going to forget something from my discard pile. And we have the 6 energy, so I think I need to stick to the original plan. I'm going to take one of my destroyed presents. And I'm going to just put it here. And we do have tons of energy. I seem to, for some reason, not be understanding how the game works today. Oh yeah, it's also, I forget that they add the energy after you gain the power card. That's where my mistake is. So we're going to go with the plan. So they're going to destroy this and move it there. And we've got so much energy. I mean, this is kind of wasteful. This may be far from ideal. But there is some value in just destroying this town or even this stuff in here. We've got the threshold on there. We've got the defend in here, which will be enough. Defend 2 will be enough once we've destroyed this town. So I think that's okay. This is just so I get the threshold on there. This is actually doing nothing. Oh no, it is getting us the threshold. So yeah, very wasteful turn. Very, very wasteful. Those fellow frugal livers, frugal live people are going to be very upset about it. But, so let's destroy the town, and then we'll move these fellas into here, and then we've got defense 6. I mean, this is a superfluous power, so I guess we'll just stick it in there. And then we have even more defend. Each player may push an explorer into a land with more buildings than the land it came from. All right, so that's a nice one. We can prevent this build here. So that's the... And then we could... Yeah, this is just perfect for us. We've got this ravage here. We're going to allow it because it's fine. And then we have a build here. I mean, this pillar is going to do 5 damage. If we prevent the build, then we can take this right down to a single explorer. That's good. That means that in the ravage, yeah, this, I think I am going to prevent the build here. And I'm going to smash this land with my Pillar of Living Flame. My Pillar of Living Wastage. Okay, so I'm going to Uncanny Melting just to squeeze a fear out of this. So if I'd done it the other way around... Oh, there would still have been an explorer in there. Okay. And so we're going to destroy the city and 2 explorers. Okay, good to actually get some destruction going. And we have Creeper's Tear, which I didn't even account for. Let's do it over there. Okay, so we are back to the reclaim. The trouble, of course, with being so wasteful like this is that I'm now kind of skint, but our ravage is fine. There are builds to do. We might be able to get do some cheesing in here with our... And we might actually... I think... I actually don't know if this is optional. Not sure. Oh yeah, we can reposition on the island. So as we've only got 3 energy, we might actually just want to reposition on the island. Because we're a little bit broke. We've got plenty of presents everywhere. So I am just going to do that. I'm going to just move some presents around. So... the main thing to avoid is just, you know, remember to leave your desert and mountain presence where it is, so that you don't kind of waste that little resource there. So yeah, this is a reclaim turn. We're only going to have 3 energy. There are some major powers that are that cheap. We don't have any immediate. I mean, we've got the healthiest possible islands, so we're not too worried. We're just going to gain a minor here. And okay, more Dahan movement abilities, that could be useful. This has the moon that we like for our Creeper's Tear. We have actually forgotten our 2 start cards that have moons on, so this does have extra value. Replacing towns with Dahan is pretty nice. 2 damage in jungles or wetlands, that actually might be better for us, just to actually do the damage. Just to get the damage done. I guess replacing a town is better than doing 2 damage. Kind of. It kind of is, except we're limited because it has to be in with Dahan already. I think I'm going to go with Voracious Growth. Keep it thematic. And again, it's got the icons that we like, though we're not too worried about our icons. Cool to Tend might be nice to move Dahan around, but we've already got fields choked with growth that we can use for that. Lands of Haunted Embers is kind of off-brand for us. And it's a blight placer, and the icons aren't really worth a whole spell slot for, so we're going to go with Voracious Growth. This is the minor damage deck. Minor powers that do damage, yeah, they exist. So this Ravage is fine. So as long as we remember to leave a Dahan in there, then they're going to clear that land out. There's no Ravage here. Well, there is a Ravage, but there's no one there. A build here for a city and a build here for a town. So I think we just go on the offense here with our building destruction. Our damage cards. I think that's the call because we have no Ravages, so we don't need to worry about that too much. But yeah, we don't have the energy to go trees and stones. But we actually don't have any particularly great targets for that. So we can position you if we use, say, fields choked with growth this turn, we can position our Dahan to be in a useful place for next turn, so that we can trees and stones and destroy a town. Say the town that's going to be built here. So yeah, I think that's good. Oh, we've got yeah, we've got more blight removal than we could shake sticks at. Okay, so there is no blight on the board. There's nowhere that needs defending. It's all good. Each player may replace a town with an explorer on a coastal land. Okay, this is fine. It's all good. If anything, we're just being a little bit slow because we're just not really doing much damage. And we now need to destroy all the buildings on the map. So we are getting towards the end of the game. That's okay. So we've got this jungle wetland damage in here. So we could destroy this town. But this is more of a concern. So we're probably going to want to place our Dahan in here for a fight back next turn. And yeah, that's probably reasonable. This can only target jungles and wetlands, so I think I am going to destroy this building in here. And what I'm thinking about is this victory condition here, removing all the buildings. So I may as well just remove this one while it's relatively easy. Trees and stones. So I think I'm going to destroy this city in here. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Destroy that city. And then these get pushed somewhere. Let's just push them into... There's a load of explorers here. And then I'm going to push these two Dahan in here. Yeah, so that's good. They are going to build another city, but that's fine. That just means it's more fear for us to use. So we are maxed out on our tracks. So pretty much it's going to be reclaim all this. I might want the 5th play for some reason, I suppose, maybe. So we've got to defend in here and defend in here. Well, we don't have to. Here's the honest truth. We don't really need to. It doesn't really matter. And in fact, if we go with trees and stones and just push into there, we've got this situation where we have the land into the same land. So if we fight back with these Dahan in the Ravage, then they won't build. So that's the thing to aim for. And if I just go with these 3 cards, then I can use trees and stones to destroy this fella in here, this explorer, and then move it there, deal with that. And then the uncanny melting is going to give us the blue, the water we need to partly defend in there, but not totally. But we'll also have this. So yeah, this is all this is all fine. It's just fine. So let's gain a power card, and we're going to gain 3 energy from this power here. So we're going to have 7 energy to play with. So we're not going to be able to play pillar. So we could gain another major. Let's gain another major. Why not? Let's be devilish. Okay, Jungle Hungers is nice. Is nice for us. It has icons we like. Because the moons will enable our creepers tearing, which is good. Destroying all the towns is obviously great, and all the explorers. The presence restriction isn't a problem for us because we're in all the jungles, and we can target almost everywhere on the map. So that's the one I'd go with instinctively, because it has good elements for us. I mean, this is a very powerful card. You've probably seen it in a fair number of my playthroughs if you've watched more than one, because it's incredible, especially in solo, because this 8 fear here, if you can trigger the threshold, is 2 cards. So Vigor of the Breaking Dawn is also actually pretty good for us. Obviously, the icons, the elements here aren't ideal, but we do have trees and stones, so we can actually kind of send our Dahan on the rampage, really, which is actually pretty good. And because we already have Trees and Stones and Uncanny Melting and Nature's Resilience, that's actually something we might be able to do right away. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We are going to have the energy when you include this 3 here to go with this and play all 3 of these, triggering the threshold on both this and this. That sounds more fun than that, and also more effective maybe than Jungle Hungers here. Could even forget Pillar, but I'm not going to forget Pillar. Actually, I think I am going to forget Pillar. There you go. Where do the lies end, peasant? Where do they end? So I think that's what I'm going to go with. And again, I can't count. Oh, because it's waiting until I've placed this presence. That's what's going on. So again, I'm going to rearrange my presence rather than spending the energy, just because I am a bit low on energy. And again, taking it from wetlands to greenery rather than from my deserts. And I think we can just play all of these, and we'll get the. So we're going to get a threshold on this. We're going to get a threshold on this, and there's going to be damage everywhere. So I think this is the game is hopefully. I mean, it's very under control. Probably a bit more under control than's worthwhile to watch. But all right. So there's a ravage in here. We can solve that problem by wiping these out. In fact, can we just win now? Wait a second. Hold your horses, peasant. Yes, we can just win. So if you are in this position, you are just kind of winning accidentally, then actually you're playing on too easy a difficulty. So I can win here by destroying the last couple of towns. So I will do that. Now, the way I can do that is I need to use the threshold effect on here to move in here and finish off this town, and then Trees and Stones in here to destroy this town. So, and while we're here, we can gratuitously destroy all sorts of stuff. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Never mind. Doesn't matter. And then we can vigor of the Breaking Dawn in here, and push these. We can actually maximize the amount of damage we're doing to the island by pushing to the enemy, to the invaders, by actually pushing into multiple lands, which is something that isn't necessarily obvious, and that is the victory. So I'm actually going to let this cool animation happen. So when you scare them away like this, they all run away, and I like that a lot. And I keep skipping it. So sorry, Handelabra. I'm sorry. So yeah, that was a Spirit Island Zero run with Spread of Rampant Green. Yeah, likes, subscribes, very much appreciated, and it helps more people see the videos basically, and bolsters my fragile ego. So yeah, thanks so much for being here. Any comments, questions you have about Spirit Island, very happy to answer them in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.